April 28th, 1997, we get a new episode of Buffy. You're waiting for 2 weeks. The last episode was so good. What's going to go on? There's a robot on the internet. Okay, so this was written. Oh, I'll tell you this. Same night that this aired, ABC aired part 2 of its The Shining remake. Remember
Wow.
when Stephen King was like, I don't like the work Stanley Kubrick did. I'm going to make a better film with Steven Weber from Cheers. No, sorry, from Wings.
You know what I know Steven Weber from?
What?
He's the principal in the show. Do you want to guess what I'm going to say?
Zach and Cody?
No, you were so close, but not really. 13 Reasons Why.
Wow. Oh, I should have known. Yeah, he's a good actor. He's also in. I like him in Party Down. He's got a great episode of that.
Oh, I didn't even remember.
He's
that.
like remember they're at like a Russian party and everyone recognizes them.
No, which season?
Season 1, I think.
I don't remember that.
All right. We've got the number 1 song in America now. Hypnotized by the notorious B.I.G. knocks Can't Nobody Hold Me Down out of the top spot.
Hopefully forever. What if it's back next week?
I would go crazy. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me.
This is a great one.
Incredible song. Yeah, one of the best. Over in the UK, I don't know what they were fucking doing. The number 1 song over there was Blood on the Dance Floor by Michael Jackson. Get out of here.
His 30th best song.
I definitely not in the top 30.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Could you name 30 Michael Jackson songs?
If I really thought about it, I probably could.
Wow, that's very impressive.
All right. And I don't even like Michael Jackson because he raped many little boys. So, Volcano is the number 1 film in America.
Yeah, we covered it. Go listen.
We sure did. What was that show called?
It was called
Twins. Yeah. Well, oh man, maybe we should do one of those soon.
It's just so much. You have to work. You have to do 2 movies for Patreon episodes.
It's complicated. All right. And the other big news of the day was a Broadway debut, Logan.
Mm-hmm.
Jekyll and Hyde the musical premiered on Broadway, and I remember this getting very, very sort of disdainful reviews.
But you never saw it yourself.
No, the theater cognoscenti did not appreciate this project. Now, for the first few months of that, Sebastian Bach played Jekyll and Hyde. You familiar with him?
No.
Well, he was a rock star at the time, and he was also in Gilmore Girls. But then he was replaced by David Hasselhoff, Logan. And that version I have seen because they released it on DVD. And boy, is that a pleasure to watch.
All right.
Yeah. So check out David Hasselhoff in Jekyll and Hyde the musical. All right. That's about it.
I got something.
Oh, what do you got?
The Cleveland Browns cornerback Denzel Ward was born that day.
I noticed that, but
shout out to Denzel.
I didn't know who that was.
Well, our listeners might.
I don't know defensive players.
Somebody might be like, "Oh shit, Denzel Ward." Maybe that's a Browns fan that was like, "I knew he was born that day, but you didn't mention that."
Oh, well,
nobody knew that. Nobody would know that.
Is anyone listening to the show from Cleveland? I don't think.
I'm from Alabama.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right, so our writers for this episode are Ashley Gable and Thomas Swiden.
Any relation to Chad Gable?
the wrestler?
Yeah.
You mean Shorty G?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Ashley Gable was, they wrote...
You know her.
Do I?
Well, you should.
Well, they wrote for just the first season of Buffy, and then they split off. I think Tom Swiden didn't work anymore after that, and Ashley Gable just went on to write for a bunch of shows. What was her big credit?
Well, she does 2 episodes of your favorite television program, Bull.
Oh, right. Okay. But she was primarily, she wrote for The Mentalist for a really long time.
No.
She was
Who is The Mentalist? That's somebody.
Yeah, it's Philip Baker.
Philip Baker Hall.
No, just Oh, and also I got his first name wrong. It's Simon Baker.
Yeah, okay.
But that she was on that for a long time. Maybe that's where she belongs. Right. But and we have a new director, Stephen Posey, and this is the only episode this guy ever does.
Yep.
So kind of
Stephen L. Posey.
yeah, I know, but he's
He took
credited
an L
just
with
as
this episode.
he's just credited as Stephen Posey in this episode. I wonder if they fucked
Oh
him
wow.
over on that. Now the funnest fact about him that I could find is that he got to start as the director of photography, Logan, and he was the DP on Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning, one of my all-time favorite Friday the 13th movies, starring Roy.
Yes, I think one of these people was like a DP on lots of stuff, or did like camera work, some sort of camera stuff
Probably
on lots
this
of
dude.
stuff.
I think he worked on like Repo Man. He worked on Savage Streets, which was a weird movie that we covered for the Razzmatazz a while ago.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
All
Next
right.
up,
So that's Stephen Posey.
that's Stephen Posey, and that's our creative team for this week, if you could call it that. Now,
Come on.
there. Listen, Buffy's got some duds. I'm gonna say it right here. They've got not many, but they've got a few that are just out and out duds, and this is one of them.
I didn't dislike it all that much.
There's one thing that saves this episode, in my opinion, and that is Giles talking to Jenny Calendar.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get into that. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
All right. So no Cordelia, no mom. Let's get into it. We open in Italy, 1418.
Yeah,
So-
what'd you think of that? Like, it opens in like this church in 1418. It's like an Italian guy going like, "Oh, we must lock up this demon in a book. We must bind him between these pages."
I mean, I didn't think any. I mean, I love it. I love all those starts to these episodes. I love all the anything they're introducing. The way they, I always like it.
I think it's terrible.
Come on, go. You always hated this episode.
Yeah. Even at the time, I thought it was kind of lame.
It is the weakest on IMDb, 6.5. That's by far the weakest we've covered. I think.
I think I was more appreciative of it at some point because at this point in the series, it's really the only Willow centric episode. And I like Willow, but we get way better Willow-centric episodes down the line.
Well, she's just very stupid.
Yeah,
and in all of her centric episodes, she's too stupid.
It's like Xander in the Praying Mantis episode. Like she seems willfully ignorant in this episode.
But he's like horny in that. Well, I guess she is too, right?
Yeah, she is. Girls could be horny too.
But this is she's it's a computer. It's insane. Anyway, so yeah, Italy 1418. We meet this dude. How do you say this? Moloch
the Corruptor.
The Corruptor. So that's pretty scary. Shouldn't send the Corruptor to a high school, but they do it. They break all the rules on Buffy. They don't give an F over here. Ashley Gable and Thomas Swindon. So they have a bot, or they put him in a box. The people do a spell.
They put him in a book, and they put the book in a box.
Right. Sorry. So yeah, they do a spell on Moloch, and they put him in a book. Put the book in a box, and then the box opens, and it's Buffy, and she's like, "Oh look, a book!" And she reads the book. It's very funny. And this is my Owen note. Where's Owen? Like, why couldn't she bring in Owen for the book? He loves books.
That's true. It would have been a prime spot. Well, but she doesn't like Owen anymore.
But they were friends. She tried to be friends with him.
Oh, come on. You can't be friends after that. And Owen, yeah, I feel like
too pretty.
I feel like Owen's trying to steer clear of her because like it's awkward. I think he's probably going to that library less these days.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Also, he's a forgettable character, and there's no need to ever bring him back.
I did think that when the book showed up, because you planted in my mind that he comes back. He's mentioned.
He's referenced, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I did think this was going to be the moment that he was referenced, but
no, alas. It's like weirdly much later.
Yeah, like the last season or something.
Not that late, but yeah.
She's talking to Willow. Willow's like, "Were you ever in love?" She's like, "Yeah, actually Owen." And you're like, "What?"
Remember that?
That's how they end.
You had like Emily Dickinson as a security blanket.
That was great stuff. Great stuff.
He gave me a stopwatch.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And Xander had like Dora the Explorer.
It was Tweety Bird.
Tweety Bird. Was Dora a thing yet? 1997?
No, probably not.
Really? How late is Dora?
I feel like that was early 2000s.
Early 2000s. When did Dora end then? Not like
isn't it still going?
2000? Oh, Dora's still going. I mean, they made a movie,
and they made like spin-offs and shit. There was Diego.
Boots. They made like, oh shit. No, they really.
Yeah, Diego is like her male counterpart.
Yeah, yeah. I actually do remember that. Yeah, that show kind of ruled. Actually, I was gonna say it sucked, but it
No,
was actually every time I saw an episode, it was kind of like, whoa, I kind of fuck with Diego. He was kind of
it
cool.
was great, dude. I used to watch that stoned every so often.
Yeah, I understand. I kind of wish I was Diego. So we meet Miss Calendar, and Miss Calendar's like a sexy new teacher, and you're like, is she gonna be the villain? But no, she's not. She's just like a good guy. But she does say she's like a, what does she say? Techno pagan.
She's a techno pagan, yeah, and she learns a lot about sort of the things Giles is into this episode. So
Yeah,
setting her
she's
up
really into
for some
Giles.
future appearances.
Okay. I was curious about that. Yeah, she ends the episode. She's like, I got like, you'll find out where that other piercing is a little
Oh yeah,
later.
yeah, that's right. He's like, I would. He mentions a belly button piercing, and she's
No, an earring. She's
oh,
like, you
right.
wear things on your ears, and she's like, who said it was for my ears?
So what do you think you think she says she has a clit ring, huh?
And you're gonna say that? No, obviously she's implying belly button, right? That's like the sexiest, like not insane thing, right?
I guess at the time.
What else is there?
I did date a girl who had like a dangly belly button ring, and it was maybe the sexiest thing about her, even though it was like slightly trashy.
No, belly button rings are pretty good.
Yeah.
It depends what it is though. Um, where other piercings can you get?
I remember when I was in high school, I used to want to get an eyebrow piercing. I'm glad I never did that.
It's kind of that can be kind of cool though.
Yeah, it could be, but I don't think it
On,
would be on me.
okay, but on the right person, I can sort of see that. Like the one that's like the ring.
Yeah.
On the side of the eyebrow.
Right. You know what other piercing I like? The septum.
Which one's that? Like the middle of the nose?
Yeah, that's the Florence Pugh piercing.
Oh, yeah. Does she still have that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Damn. All right. So yeah, Miss Calendar. And that's her real name. When she had that name, I thought she was immediately like the villain.
I read that her name's Jenny Calendar, and in the original script, her name was Nikki Calendar, but they kept fucking up on set because they called Nicholas Brendan, who plays Xander, Nikki, and so like some people, like directors, would be like, "Hey, Nikki," and then like two people would turn around, so they changed the name of this character.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That probably happens very often with like actors with the same name though, but they
Yeah.
can't just change the actors' names. Well, I guess they can. They probably call them by their last names. They're like, hey, Cruz, Hanks, over here. They've never been in a movie together.
Cruz and Hanks. No, they never did.
That would have been crazy. Those are probably like the two biggest movie stars.
Yeah,
of
if they
the-
made a movie in the '90s together, that would have been huge, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They should have just done a crossover. Jerry Maguire meets Forrest Gump.
Jeez, that would have been really something.
It would have been good. He's all stupid is as stupid does, and he's all show me the money.
Oh, that's so funny. All right, so oh yeah, Miss Calendar. She's in the library. She like has a class. She does like computer science, but her class is visiting the library for today. And so they're in there with Giles, and they open that book, and Giles is like, "Hey, Buffy, just like put it over there with the other books that we got. We're gonna like scan them and like put them on the shelves or whatever they do." But Willow does that. Willow like scans the books, and she scans the book into the computer.
So now that demon that had been safely tucked away into this book is running wild on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, how far can you run on the World Wide? I mean, I guess pretty far. That's
It's-
probably like
it's-
the farthest place you can
It's
go.
actually scope wise, this is the fucking hugest episode of Buffy because they're talking about he's gonna like collapse banking systems in different countries. He's gonna launch nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
He never actually gets around to doing any of that, but the possibilities are endless. So why does he spend all his time just like trying to romance like some 16-year-old wallflower?
I think because she could like give him more access or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. So, yeah, we meet these two guys, Fritz and who? David? Dave?
Yeah, Dave, and I love Fritz because he's got my favorite catchphrase. I'm jacked in. I'm jacked in.
Yeah, it's like the Social Network.
Dude, anytime anyone says they're jacked in a movie or TV
You
show
think
about
about Fritz?
computers, I think, first of all, yes, I think about Fritz, but I love it. I fucking love it.
Just like the term
Yeah,
jacked
yeah,
in.
man. Like when you're watching like Johnny Mnemonic or you're watching like Hackers, they're all
Not the
jacked
Matrix. They don't say
in.
jacked in.
They might. They might.
They might in the Matrix. Well, seems that would be like it's so futuristic-y, and then it's like jacked in, and you're like, what? Are we in 1999 again? Um, oh, I have something on Dave.
The movie with
No, no,
Kevin Kline.
no. Dave is Jesse, the kid that gets shot up in that drive-by in the first Fast and
He
Furious
sure
movie.
is. I was gonna say the same thing. That's what I know him from. Also,
I didn't know the whole episode till I looked up after on IMDb.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my god!
they all feel real bad about that. I mean, they never mention it again in successive movies, like 10 of them. But like,
Oh, the Fast and Furious gang.
but yeah, the Fast and Furious gang were bummed about that at the time.
Well, at the time when there was one movie, that was the big part of the movie. But then they pivoted and they realized that didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, who's thinking about Dave when you're in space?
Well, he's Jesse.
Oh, right,
At
Jesse.
that point, I'll say Jesse in Fast and Furious better than Jesse in Buffy. Remember Jesse? They had
Yeah,
to go
I'll give
get
you
him
that.
was that the Harvest?
Yeah,
The worst episode?
that's not the worst episode. Jesus.
To me, it is because we're going to get Jesse. Why the plot of the whole episode hinges on saving Jesse. This guy,
But it
I
also
don't
is
care about.
stopping the harvest. Then Luke
I want the
gets
harvest
a lot
free.
to do. Oh my
I
god.
want Buffy to have to kill more vampires in this season, but they managed. They found more things for her to get, like praying mantises. The next day, Willow's like, "Hey, Buffy, I like met a guy, and his name's Malcolm. Did you put it together? Malcolm Moloch. They were like same guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because they show him going to the computer. Um, and she says Buffy has a great line here. Willow's like, I met him online, and Buffy says,
Online
for
for
what?
Yeah.
We see there's like a moment where she's talking to Willow, and is it Fritz? Fritz is like, yeah, Fritz is the one you like. He's the one that he's looking at her through the camera, and he pulls up Buffy's like school credentials or something,
Yeah.
and she has a 2.8 GPA, which she's got to get that up. But you can understand she's often like fighting vampires.
Yeah, 2.8 seemed about right to me.
So yeah, pretty solid there. One absence, which makes she always has to be on it. She always has to be at school. Who knows what could go happen in any day. So I like that. She's missed, but she can't have 0. I like that she's missed one day. And then the other thing that I caught, no athletics. But wasn't she on the cheer team for
Like
she was
a
like
second, dude.
but she was like a reserve on the cheer squad.
Yeah. You know what really struck out to me in that segment is that her birthday was listed as like May something 1979, and
Uh-huh.
after this it becomes very well established that her birthday is it's in January of 1980.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so that's a fuck up. I mean,
Well-
they just hadn't established it yet, I guess.
But when they created it later, they didn't remember this moment.
I guess not, but like every time they do a Buffy birthday episode, which they do a few, it's always in January.
Wow, did that drive you mad even back then, or did you notice this time around?
No, I definitely noticed before this, but yeah, like when I first got the DVD or sort of when it went into syndication on FX, and I would come home after school
You were
and
studying.
yeah,
the whole show.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
All right. If they had like people like when they were making those Saw movies, like they did, like just rewatching them constantly as they went along, I'm sure they would have caught that. But they, I guess, didn't have Green Vault or anybody doing that at the time.
Yeah, they didn't have a continuity department yet.
Right. So I like this one moment. There's a guy that's like reading his paper, and he's like talking about Nazi Germany being like real rad, and he's like,
Yeah.
"What? I didn't write this."
Wait, what? Nazi Germany is a great example of a structural government, something like that. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was just the computer hacking and changing his paper.
yeah, causing chaos.
I liked that moment. And then, oh, Buffy. This is when Buffy's like, all right, Willow's not going to help me. She's like too blinded by Malcolm, quote unquote. So I have to do it all on my own. So she's like doing some detecting. She tries to trace emails. She tries to ask Giles for help. Oh, we didn't mention, by the way, Giles is like, he hates computers because he loves books so much.
I,
So he doesn't.
yeah,
He's no help this episode.
that's one of the best parts of the episode, though, is Giles's dialogue about computers is really good.
Yes, and it works on the teacher. It like gets her going.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I
She's
think
like,
like by the end of the episode, they sort of get each other.
yeah, no, they each have like their love, their passion for
Right.
their own thing, and it's a similar thing. They get each other. Um, so yeah, so she's doing some detecting, and she follows Dave. Dave gets in his car after school and he drives off. And I had a question, like, does Buffy have like supernatural powers at all?
Like what?
Because we saw Dave leave school, get in his car, and leave, and then we see him pull up at this that location that he keeps visiting, and Buffy's just there. So like, did Buffy run there? Did she also like? Did she catch a cab and follow him? Did she? I didn't really understand how she got from point A to point B because
Logan,
we saw Dave get in a car.
I don't have an answer for you on that.
Okay, okay,
I apologize.
that's all right. I guess they just messed up this episode.
Yeah, this
So-
one's just not very good.
CRD, that's the name of this location. I didn't really catch what it stood for. Or
Like
what it,
computer
did.
research dynamics or something like that.
Okay, I know it was a smart place, and that Xander's uncle worked there, so he knew. a
Yeah,
little
first
bit about
reference
it.
of Xander's uncle, which becomes
Oh, he's a
theme.
big character?
He's not really. We only see him in like one episode, but he's referenced quite a bit.
Okay, that's neat. So we get a Spider-Man reference, right?
Another one. Which what was it?
Oh,
She says spider sense, and Giles doesn't know what she's talking about because the fucking movie hadn't come out yet. And
yeah, you're right. But he is in the books. He should know like all about comics and stuff, right?
but he's
If it was only a movie,
but if you grew up like when you're a kid,
if it was like a Usual Suspects reference, he wouldn't know it.
but from birth, this dude's in the Watchers Council, knowing that like vampires and werewolves and witches exist and shit. Like you'd be reading about that stuff. Like who would care about like
There are
fictional-
goblins in Spider-Man, and like
But like I could read about real goblins.
I guess so. I guess you're right.
I think Spider-Man doesn't quite have the same allure if there are actual spider people hanging around the world and you know about it.
Nah, I guess you're right. It's like in well, never mind. So I like this moment where what's her name? Miss Calendar. What's her first name?
Jenny,
Jenny
not
Calendar.
Nikki.
Not Nikki. Don't get it confused. She comes in and she comments on it, which I really thought was funny. She's like, Xander, Willow, why the hell are you always in this library? That's the weirdest thing ever. And they're like, you know. But I like that she points it out. Somebody had to, right?
Yeah, I
It
like.
had to be pointed out at some point.
Was it last week? There was an episode where somebody comes in to rent a book, and Giles like, "What do you want?"
Was that?
And he's
That
like,
was Owen,
I
right?
need to take out. No, it was different. Oh, maybe it was Owen. You might be right about that.
Well,
Yeah.
well, I don't think he dissed Owen ever. I think Owen like. I know what you're talking about. There was just like a random stranger that came in. He was like, "Get the fuck out of here."
Yeah, it's like I was
Oh.
watching the OC this week, and they always sit on these couches in like the student lounge, and like there's no explanation for how they're always able to get like the best couch in the student lounge, but there's this one episode where Ryan stands up
like the perk, Central Perk.
yeah, like that. So there's one episode like Ryan stands up and leaves, and the camera stays on Seth, and a random dude sits next to him, and he turns to him, and he's like, "What are you doing?"
That has to happen in I feel like I can picture Phoebe, like a stranger sitting next to Phoebe, and she's like somebody's gonna sit there or something like that. That has to
Yeah.
happen. There's no.
I think there might. I think there is an episode of Friends where like they all come in and see people
Yes.
sitting at and then they just leave.
Yes, you're 100% right about that.
Yeah.
Yes. So they start arguing, but Giles and Miss Calendar about like books and computers and stuff like that. And Miss Calendar, she goes in on Giles. She's like, you're like gatekeeping these books.
Yeah, she
Literally,
calls
like
him a
you keep them
fuddy-duddy.
behind a gate, and you only want it to be for your like white people friends, white guy friends. She like really goes in on him. That's like literally what she says. She's
Yeah.
like, you're white, like the white men,
White
you only want them."
colonialist bastards.
Yeah, it's nuts. If it was now, she'd be like, you cisgendered white men. You
know what
she-
though? It was like a little bit ahead of its time. Like that.
That's
like,
what I mean,
Her
yeah.
monologue here could have been replicated today, like very, very similarly.
Exactly, but they would definitely added that part though.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh
We
my
were still
god, I
terrified
think
of
I
getting
just
this back then.
so yeah, so then Buffy, like Dave, like is like, hey, Buffy, like Willow needs you in the shower or something, and so Buffy's like, all right, I'm gonna go check on Willow in the shower, but then Willow is not in the shower, and it was like a ploy to like get her to step on
To
a
be
wire,
electrocuted, yeah.
yeah, but then she uses her Buffy. Oh, she does jump. She does like a magic jump, right?
It's not a magic jump. She just jumps high because she's very athletic.
Oh, it seemed like a Jedi type supernatural jump. So maybe that's how she got from point A to point B. She like used that. But
She used
so
the
yeah,
force.
she avoids death in that situation and she gets out. Then what happens?
You tell me, man. We're scrolling your notes.
That happens sometimes where you're like, then what happened to me? And I'm like, what happened?
I guess you're
Um,
right. I didn't
oh,
take
this
great
is what
notes on this
happens.
episode. What?
This is what happens. Dave goes to the computer lab where his friend, what's your
Fritz.
guy's name?
I'm
Fritz
jacked
is.
in. I'm
He's
jacked in.
he's jacked in. And he says basically, I can't hack it anymore. I want out.
Oh, I like
I
you. The
can-
word you use the word hack. They would say that because they're
Oh,
computer
yeah.
people.
Yeah, great job by me. He says, I want out. I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to kill Buffy. She's a nice girl. And so they say, all right. And so on the computer screen, you see him type out a suicide
Oh my
note.
god. Yeah, I love that. And we hear Malcolm saying all his own dialogue, like when he's talking to Willow, and it's
He's like Hal, right?
yeah, it's a very Hal like voice, and then it becomes slightly more sinister in this like suicide note reading, and to the point where at the end of it, doesn't he like just show up like pixelized on the fucking computer screen?
No, I think it. Oh, you might be right, but I think it zoom. Oh no, I think it just shows Fritz in the background. I was gonna say it shows Fritz's reflection, but you might be right that it just shows. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
possible.
Malik just like pops up. Rah!
Yeah, yes. So you complained last week about a line Buffy had where she says, "Does this outfit make me look fat?"
Yeah.
Something about that. And she has a line in this episode where she says, like, does my hair, something about her hair, like, does my hair look bad or something like that? Did you have the same issue
No,
with that?
no, I just I that's different. That's like a day-to-day thing. Am I having a good hair day? Am I having a bad hair day? I don't want Buffy, who's like an objectively thin girl, to be thinking
wait.
that she's fat.
You know why she actually asked that is because of the electrocution thing that just happened.
Oh
I
yeah, there
actually
you go.
forgot about that because her hair actually does look bad in that scene, so it actually does make sense. But I forgot she just got electrocuted or almost got electrocuted, so it actually does make sense. So yeah, so then they realize like, hey, the book was scanned. It's in the computer. Uh-oh, everything bad has happened. We have to protect Willow because Willow has been flirting with a robot.
A demon
So-
robot.
A demon robot. Moloch, the temptress. What's it called?
Corruptor.
Moloch, the corruptor. And so we get to Willow's house, and Willow's there, and she is like, oh, by the way, she's like against her Malcolm, her boyfriend, because Malcolm at one point was like, hey, Buffy is like always getting kicked out of school. He like mentions how
Yeah.
Buffy is like a rebel, and she's like, well, that's weird for you to do.
And
So
she's like, how did you
sorta-
even know that? And he's like, her transcripts? I mean, you told me.
Yeah. Does he say that?
Yeah,
Does he
kind
slip
of,
up like that?
basically.
So yeah, so that happens. So she's sort of like on edge with him and sort of like avoiding him. But the doorbell rings. She goes to answer the door. It's Fritz, and he's got chloroform, and he knocks her out with chloroform, right? So
Yeah.
that's pretty sad.
And then she wakes up in CRD, I guess, right?
Yeah, see, they all go to CRD. They realize that that must be where they're headed. Then we learn about the techno pagan. Everything. Miss Calendar is a techno pagan.
Yeah, she's interested in magic, but she likes to use the science of technology and to thrust
Does she come back?
forward her magic. Yes, she is a recurring character.
Recurring. What is that? I mean, don't tell me how often. But so, do we see her powers ever, like in action?
Yes.
Because I'm very interested in this techno pagan. What these abilities are, and the weaknesses, all that stuff. I've never heard of this. A techno pagan. Is this new?
I think it was invented for this.
That's awesome. Is this their own like their only invention so far? Everything else has been
Yeah, well,
I
they
feel
like
like
to use lore. I mean, I don't know if the praying mantis thing that's probably invented for this.
you never heard of a praying mantis?
I never heard of a she mantis.
Oh right, the she. I forgot about the she mantis. All right, fair enough. Um, all right. So we had a reference here that I thought you would really be into. Independence Day. Did you catch this?
No, what happens?
Giles says at one point, he's like, "Can't we just like give it a virus?" And she's like, "You've seen too many movies.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, that probably is an
Gotta be a
ID4 reference.
yeah, it
Virus,
has to be."
computer
Um,
virus.
so I guess he does watch movies. Also, he's not just like a book nerd. He is into movies too. Unless
Yeah,
there's a book. Is there a book Independence Day?
no, I'll tell you though. There's a funny moment in. We'll eventually hang out at Giles's apartment sometimes,
Oh wow.
and there's a moment where Xander like
What's
moves.
Xander doing at his apartment?
They're all there, and he moves some newspapers around, and but under these newspapers there's a television, and he says like, "Giles is a television. He's stupid like us."
That's funny.
Yeah,
He's stupid like us. Then we have a moment, another dumb moment with Willow, where Malcolm Moloch is like, "I love you, Willow," and Willow's like, "No, it's not true. You're lying to me. You don't mean it." She's just upset, but like
yeah.
doesn't know if she believes it. Like
Well, it's like the
pretty
first
lame.
dude who's ever shown her any interest romantically, and it turns out it's a demon robot. Like that's a
Really
bummer.
naive.
Yeah, yeah,
So I like this moment. Buffy comes in to save the day. She drop kicks Moloch,
yeah. That's a good
e-
drop kick.
except she says, "Oh, he's made of metal." Thought that was a great moment. Um, then Xander gets a moment here. Xander had a few good moments. He has the moment early where he did something, right? I feel like he did something, and then here he punches somebody. He's like, "I gotta have to punch somebody."
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was
He's
cool.
excited about that.
What did he do earlier? I feel like Xander did something. I forget.
Eh, whatever.
What did he do?
I don't know.
Oh, he his uncle. He realized
yeah,
like my
that.
uncle works there, so he cracked the case on that one or something. So that's good. Xander had a good episode. Uh, so then this is where we get the whole. I guess they defeat him, right? They like do a whole battle there, and they win. She makes him punch into like a. She makes him kill himself, basically.
How does that
Right?
happen? I don't remember.
She's like standing in front of like a what do you call those? Where it's like a circuit breaker.
Sure.
She's like standing in front of that, and he goes to punch her, and
Oh,
she
that's
ducks, and he
right.
like punches it and
Yeah,
shocks himself.
he's a robot,
And
so he gets knocked out.
that's right. And then he like explodes or whatever.
And then meanwhile,
And
Giles and Jenny are working on that binding spell back at the school, and so like just as this happens, they're able to get him back in that book or whatever.
right, exactly. And then is that when Giles is like,
Oh, but then
you know,
he's
I
not
love to
in the
smell
book.
books. Oh, right, like the text isn't there, but then how do they get the text in the book?
Yeah, I don't remember. So yeah, yeah,
But then they do it.
Giles has his monologue about the musk of new books or any books, I guess.
I like how he started it. He was like, "I hate the smell of computers," and she's like, "What? They don't smell." He's like,
Exactly.
Yeah. I love how books smell. It's like, oh, I like that, Giles. So she likes it too. She does the whole earring thing where she's like, "It's not an earring.
Yeah.
Gotta find out later," and so that's good. Then we get my favorite ending that we've had so far. I don't think this is the worst episode we've had. I think
It
there's
is.
some good stuff here. Great ending here. They're all at the fountain, Scream style, and they're talking and they're like, "Man, our love life sucks." Willow's all bummed because she lost Malcolm, and Buffy's like, "Hey, don't give up. The only guy that I like." Oh, I guess this is when she's like talking about Angel. She's like, "The only guy I liked was Angel. He's a fucking vampire." And then Xander's like, "Yeah, and mine was a she mantis." And then they're all
and
like,
then they go, we're all doomed, and they laugh about it, and then there's a moment, and then a
They all
realization,
go
like, oh
silent.
shit.
And then it ends. It's a great ending. My favorite ending so far.
Wow.
Very, very, very great. I give it 3 stars.
I give it 1
1 star. This is the worst episode of Buffy.
of season 1, I think.
How is this so much different from
All the internet
Teacher's
shit,
Pet?
dude. It's just
the Pack?
I love the Pack.
Yeah, you did love the Pack. Sorry. From Never Kill a Boy. How was this worse than that one?
I think this is more embarrassing. Like, if I was gonna watch Buffy and like somebody walked in, I'd be way more embarrassed to be watching this episode than that one.
I feel like it's all pretty focused. I like the new teacher. The only thing that like I had that raised a question for me was like, how does Buffy fly now? Because how did she get from point A
The
to point B?
villain sucks.
You love him. Am I jacked in?
No, I like that guy. I don't like Moloch the Corruptor though, and his weird 1480 flashback.
I didn't really mind it.
All right, well that's great. If you can enjoy this, then you're home free.
Fucking perfect. Great. Because I really did. And I have it second to last. I have it ahead of The Harvest.
All right, I'll have this.
Just because I don't care about Jesse.
I'll have this last place. Who's your MVP?
Give me a few people.
I think you gotta go Giles or Miss Calendar. Or Fritz.
What does Miss Calendar do?
Well, she gets introduced. Everything you've seen her do is in this episode.
But Giles is sort of like... He's no help this episode because he doesn't know anything about computers. So he's sort of just like, go ask somebody else.
But he's good in the episode. Like, he's got a lot of interesting shit to say.
He has a lot of interesting shit to say. But he doesn't drop kick Moloch. Buffy
right,
does.
So
I'm going Buffy.
MVP. Great. All right, who's your LVP?
My LVP is... Who? Jesse? Or not Jesse. What's his name in this? Dave?
Dave? Yeah.
I say that with a question mark. I don't know.
I gotta say, maybe Willow.
That's what I had, but I thought you'd kind of be pissed. I went Willow.
No, like I love Willow.
And this is Willow centric, as you said.
Yeah, it doesn't really work though.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'll go Willow. I have no problem going Willow.
I'm gonna go Willow here.
You're not gonna go Moloch?
No.
You hate Moloch.
Oh yeah, Moloch. Yeah, he's my LVP.
Moloch the Corruptor. So you're gonna go Moloch. I'll go Willow. Yeah.
Julia, you want to go to the mailbag?
Oh yes. Let me pull that up. Should we just like read them? Read them out.
Yeah, read them out.
All right. William said, I guess I should read their last name. William Anastasio says, the Angel episode, maybe the first 5-star episode of the series? ? I'm not sure the scale. Oh, so he hasn't seen all these too. So
yeah.
The computer episode's pretty bad. We agreed. What'd you give
the
Angel?
Scale, I gave it a 4. Shit gets better, man. That ain't no 5.
Oh, right. So he was stacking it up, not knowing. You say not a 5. You gave it a 4 though.
Yeah.
All right. He says the computer episode felt like a Doctor Who episode from the 70s. How has he seen Doctor Who from 70s and 80s?
There was a lot on DVD.
You seen the DVDs, you think?
Probably.
All right. Well, he says he's not vibing with Willow, and I agree.
Okay.
You'd think William would like Willow, but no. They have no he doesn't care. Yeah. They have similar names.
It's not.
Does she ever go by Will? Oh, I think Buffy actually calls her Will at one point.
That's a thing for sure.
I think when she's like looking for her, she's like Will. I was like, oh shit, they have nicknames. But all right, so next, you want to read this one?
I don't have this up.
Oh.
You're gonna read.
So Jack Bulberry says, my partner took the piss out of me because I didn't know Angel was a vampire this whole time. Yeah, and I didn't either. So if I had someone who cared about me, Logan, I'm sure they would have done the same thing.
How'd you feel about that?
Did we not talk about it?
I mean, we did, but like, was it shocking to you?
It was shocking.
Did it just like make sense? You didn't see it coming. Okay.
Did not see it coming.
Great.
I mean, that wasn't as shocking as much as that he killed his parents and that he was like the craziest vampire there ever was. Like the extra layers they give it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not if he was just like, oh, I'm a vampire. That's like not as good.
Yeah, and you'll get to see Angel in flashback from his crazy vampire days.
So Angelica Joyce, she has 2. So, and these are pretty long, so buckle up. She says, I would agree that Angel is the first 5. I guess she's replying to William here. I don't know who chose to make Angel a vampire, but that decision is media gold. Who do you think did that?
It's Joss.
You think Joss did that?
Yeah, that was in his original pitch.
Yeah, especially if they haven't been showing him in daylight ever since then. It had to have been all planned out. So the complexity that a character like Angel brings to a series like this is priceless, and the way he changes Buffy, fucking chef's kiss. Season 1 Angel doesn't compare to what's coming, and I'm so stoked for Logan to watch through.
Yeah,
Wow.
me too, Logan.
Thanks for having me in mind, Angelica.
Yeah.
And then her other message, she says, and I'm going to agree about Willow. I guess also agreeing with William about Willow, that she's not so great. She's usually a fan favorite, but she's notoriously the one character that makes the worst decisions. Well, for me.
Yeah, that's objective, but I know where she's coming from.
Who's dumber? Xander?
I would say yes.
Not so far. I think Xander's done way more good than Willow has.
No, I know. I'm talking series wide. Like Willow's a very important character to the show.
She says people usually go for Xander because let's face it, he's a man in our society. Target men who act like men. LOL. But Xander has an emotional.
God, I saw that comment, by the way. Talk about something we would never be allowed to say out loud if we were writing this.
Do you think that's true?
I mean,
that people are nicer to Xander because he's a man?
No, I think actually in the world, like the fan base of Buffy has more or less turned on Xander because he's clearly such an avatar of Joss Whedon's, and the fan base is kind of turned on Joss Whedon. So, but Willow is like notoriously beloved. Like if you ask people like Buffy
Is it
fans,
beloved or beloved? Can we nail
it's
that
either
down?
one. It's either one. So if you ask like 100 Buffy fans who their favorite character is, I think you'll get at least like 30 people saying Willow.
Whoa, that's how many would say Buffy? Because I would.
Less
Spoiler alert.
Less than that.
That's crazy.
Some of them will be characters you haven't even met yet, Logan.
Wow. How many would say Cordelia?
Not many.
Oh, more than under 7.5.
About that.
Oh, I might do it just to push her over the edge.
Give her the eighth.
Yeah, I absolutely would. So, she says, but Xander has the emotional maturity that Willow has to work for, and that no one else in the series will come even close to. So she's saying Xander is more mature than everybody else.
I don't want to say
emotionally.
Too much. I don't want to say too much.
Okay. She's smart as hell, but the wallflower deal she's got going on makes her weak, and she'll do a lot in the future to compensate for it.
Right.
All right. So a lot of stuff that I guess I just don't understand yet. But thank you, Michael Graff, my favorite listener.
Is he?
I don't know. I just felt like saying that. He says, "Didn't see Angel being a vampire coming!" ! Can humans and vampires fuck? Has he never seen Twilight before? I have news for you. They do. Have they never? They never tackled that before Twilight.
Vampires I mean, they tackle it on Buffy. In Twilight, they do a weird thing where it's like, fucking, the vampires fuck so hard that it like breaks the woman's bones or something. It's very weird.
And the bed, they break all the beds and stuff. I like what they do in Twilight, how they use the chess metaphor to be like sex. That's good stuff. And then also there. He brings up the novels and the comics and asks if you've read any.
I have,
and if they're essential.
None of them are essential, but some of the comics are good. There's one comic that's fairly good that bridges the gap between the movie and the show. Sort of writes off Pike and gets her to Sunnydale and shit like that, and that's kind of worth having. And then, of course, after the series ended, Joss Whedon did a season 8, 9, and 10 as a comic book. But I just think they're so up and down. Like some of it's great and some of it's really bad. The best Buffy thing ever in terms of like books and comics. Whedon wrote this 8-issue miniseries called Frey that's about a Slayer in the future. And so like you don't even have to know Buffy, like, because it's all standalone, but it's interesting because it's part of the lore. And they even include a weapon later on in the series that was introduced in that comic.
Do you learn how to save a life?
Like the fray? Oh, I see what you're saying.
All right. So Joshua Langford says, I can't wait for Logan to get to season 2 onward, where the show gets really good. Spike, who I don't even know yet, and Willow's arcs are chef's kiss.
Yeah, I couldn't agree
can't wait
more.
to meet Spike.
Spike's big, yeah. He's introduced early season 2.
Okay, sounds cool. Spike. Is that a man or a woman?
You guess.
I'd say man. I hope there's a woman's Spike. That'd be cool.
Maybe. All right. So is that it?